Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to another Hedgehog book recommendations video. These are named after Christopher Russell, who used to make BookTube videos a long time ago. He was dubbed by Joe Spivey as our little corner BookTube's cartoon hedgehog. He at one point did a video of just random book recommendations, no particular theme or reason or anniversary or occasion. And that was all I needed to start doing that myself. And a lot of you have said that you like these, so I'm making another one now where we'll go through some books and I will recommend them to you. Maybe some of them will be spot on for exactly what you feel like reading at the moment. So we'll start with Sir Dennis Foreman, who did a big fat companion to opera. So a breakdown of the plots of all the major operas, a breakdown of the songs, the hit numbers and whatnot, the major performances over the centuries of the key roles, and also the book has the best title in the world because he is a knight of the realm, and the book is called A Night at the Opera. It's a big, fat, generous thing. It's wonderful, just wonderful. It's so well for an opera fan. It's going to be argument starting because he isn't shy about opinionizing, but that makes it all the more fun. And in terms, for those of you looking to have opera demystified, this will work. Very much so, it will work. Then we have John Dominic Crossan. This is a book that in its own circles will need no introduction whatsoever. The Historical Jesus, A Life of a Mediterranean Jewish Peasant, where Crossan not only pulls together and assembles all the first century stuff that we know about Jesus, which is only the New Testament and the epistles, actually the apostles and whatnot, and then extends that forward through the church fathers and archaeological and research to come to a portrait of who this figure would have been if this figure was anybody. And this book is a joyous amount of wonderfully written research. Just joyous. If you are accustomed to reading scholarly prose, it doesn't get much better than this. You will probably be fighting with it at some points, are disagreeing with the author, but you will be loving how he handles his sources. I loved it, the whole thing. I don't have a hardcover copy of this thing, but I would imagine the next time I see a hardcover copy out in the wild, I will probably grab it. Even though I disagree with the author completely. I disagree with the author as fundamentally as it is possible to disagree with him. I don't think there was a historical Jesus. Mediterranean Jewish peasant. Okay, well, there were 10,000 of those. So if you're willing to say, well, I'm going to do all the research in the world on who the historical Jesus was, and I'm going to come to the scholarly conclusion that he was a man living in 30 AD. Okay, well, great. Okay, so if you take every particular about the character in the stories of the Gospels and throw them all over the side, then fine. Okay, then fine. Then you get historical Joe. An historical Joe Schmo. But in terms of the Jesus that is in any way represented in the New Testament, that character, I don't believe existed. There is no historical proof outside a collection of texts whose main goal is to tell you that character is a god, which makes them completely untrustworthy. It makes them inherently untrustworthy. But even though I disagree with this author completely, it is still enormous fun to read his book, believe it or not. Then we have Lothar Gunther Buchheim. I have recommended this book before in an English language translation. The Boat, a World War II novel about a U-boat captain, a German U-boat captain. It's grim, it's gritty, it's really, really good. I would really like to see someone give this a brand new translation. Maybe as a Penguin Classic Deluxe Edition with new artwork and whatnot. I mean, it's tough to beat the cover of this old mass market paperback. And the mass market paperback in the U.S., also the inside flaps, the end papers were a diagram of the sub, which is really helpful when you're reading the book. It's really good. It's a classic of war fiction. I wish that it had received, I think it's only ever had one translation into English. It'd be nice if it had another one. Then we have, this is a Hedgehog book recommendation among many, but also in and of itself, because it's September, and that is Shaktember, a BookTube event dedicated to Shakespeare. This is the Signet Classic, the old Signet Classic paperback of Hamlet. These Signet Classic paperbacks had these originally commissioned artwork on the cover. They were all white. They had white spines. They had the text of the play a general introduction to Shakespeare's world, an introduction specifically to the play, footnotes at the bottom of every page for variations in vocabulary, and then a whole bunch of stuff in the back of the mass market paperback. So when you paid $2.95 for this, you were getting a lot. You would get the historical antecedents of whatever the thing was, if there were any historical antecedents, and then you would get various considerations, essays about certain aspects of the play. The Hamlet volume is really good. They're all really good. A whole collection of the old signet classic Shakespeare is not a bad thing to have. I kick myself that once upon a time I had them all, and I got rid of them. Then we have a little bit more Shakespeare. This is Leon Rook. This is his very slim, very whimsical novel, Shakespeare's Dog, where we get the life and times of the bard seen through the eyes of his dog. It's silly and trivial, but it is enjoyable. It will leave a smile on your face. Even though at points, especially at the end, it gets a little serious. It's one of the million books about Shakespeare that could be on any Hedgehog book recommendation video. But if you happen to see it, at a yard sale, this little thing called Shakespeare's Dog, feel free. Then we have Ethan Morden. He came up just recently in a video. This is his book, Coming Up Roses. And this is all about the Broadway musical theater in the 1950s. He did a couple of volumes like this in different decades, and he's incredible writing about Broadway. Incredible writing about Broadway shows. Not everybody... Broadway shows are, I think, a little bit of a lost art. You might say, well, what are you talking about? Broadway shows are a big hit. But no, your Broadway show isn't a big hit if the ticket is $750. If one ticket for one person is $750, then your show's not a big hit. It's a big investment. Ordinary people could go to these shows, to all the shows that are highlighted in this book. Ordinary people could. I did. So it's possible to do. And that isn't possible really anymore on Broadway. So, but even if you're seeing these things like on a local production, or if some of them were made into movies, there are even some bootleg video productions of stage performances. Even if you're watching them much later, instead of ever entertaining the thought of going to Broadway yourself, Morden is still great at writing about these things. They'll definitely make you want to at least track down some of the hit songs on YouTube. Then we have something I've shown you on this channel before. I've shown you a lot of Hedgehog book recommendations before. This is Vera Chapman's book, The Green Knight, with this great Brothers Hildebrandt cover. And it is a fantasy novel telling the story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, the great poet, the great poem, about a gigantic green knight who comes to the court of King Arthur and makes a deal. I will give your bravest knight a blow with an axe at me, and then I will return the favor in a year. And no one thinks much of this context because Sir Gawain, the knight who steps forward, will simply behead the man. So there won't be any recompense next year. But when he does, the knight picks up his head and walks off and says, I expect to see you in a year. So Gawain thinks he's doomed. He certainly can't pick up his head once he's been beheaded. And Vera Chapman, who really deserves a biography of her own, does a wonderful job here. A wonderful and at a couple of points, subversive job. Then we have the great Canadian historian, Pierre Burton. This is his book, Flames Across the Border. Part 1 of a 2-part history of the War of 1812 that he does that is incredibly good. Just amazingly good. It is amazingly novelistic, cinematic even, in the way he portrays personalities, the way he portrays action. The visceral nature of, for instance, combat between wooden sailing vessels is portrayed as grippingly, as page-turningly in this book as anywhere in Patrick O'Brian or C.S. Forster. It's incredible. This is an amazing... Flames Across the Border will get you started. Once you're done with Flames Across the Border and Invasion of Canada are the 2 volumes that they came out with, I think, in Canada and also in the United States. And there is also a big, fat trade paperback of both put together that one of you was kind enough to send me. I didn't even know that it existed. So very much find these things. They are a history that will not disappoint. Then we have something by Catherine Harmon Courage. This is not the be-all and end-all on the subject, but it is September, and that is Octember, a booktube event that I have been grievously neglecting, about octopus. And this is called Octopus. This is her book about octopuses. This is I won't say a thumbnail. It's not a short book, but it's easy. It is the very layman's version of the natural history of octopuses, their varying levels of problem-solving ability and intelligence, their distribution, the quirks of their anatomy, just the sort of thing. Just the sort of book that you would want if you want a book to introduce you to this subject. It does a really good job of that. And then we can finish up with something that I have been told over the years is intensely collectible. Sorry about that, but I've mentioned this before. I might have mentioned it on a Hedgehog video before. It's the Dune Encyclopedia. A big, fat paperback reference work to the world of Dune. That isn't just... The encyclopedia part is misleading. It isn't just alphabetical entries of all the different items in the Dune extended mythos. It is that. If you look up S for sandworm, or you look up, F for Fremen, you will find entries. But some of those entries are pages long, and they are stories on their own. They have all kinds of intense narratives on their own. Oh my God. The interconnected narratives throughout this book about the development of faster-than-light travel, the faster-than-light travel that is at the heart of Dune, the stories in this book just about the people involved in developing that technology are incredible. The stories are incredible. And so is almost everything else in here. It is a reading experience on its own. It really is. It sounds and looks like a reference work, but it isn't. It's a reading experience on its own. There's hardly a story in the Dune Encyclopedia that you wouldn't wish that Frank Herbert had time to expand into a novel. There's hardly a story in here like that. And you will also, in addition to that, learn things about characters and situations in Dune that aren't in the book. And all of this was Frank Herbert, so this is all authorized. I don't know that this is in print anymore. I think I remember one of you saying that it can't be in print anymore for legal reasons. But I strongly recommend it. I don't know that I recommend it at the prices that I believe it is selling for. $200, I've heard. I don't think I recommend a trade paperback for that much money. I don't think I recommend any book for that much money. I wouldn't tell you to buy a Gutenberg Bible for $200. But if you can find a cheap copy, and you're a Dune fan, you really should read it. But anyway, there you go. That is a Hedgehog book recommendation video for today to tide you over during the weekend. I will wrap this up and we'll make another one soon. Thank you, BookTube.